Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It is going to be an indoors one this time, unfortunately, because my car is still in the garage being fixed. So today I thought that we could dig into my kit list. I'm going to be laying out all of the essentials that I take on my hikes and my wild camps, just the things that keep me rolling on the trails. This isn't going to be an in-depth review because there's a lot of items and that's going to be a very long video, which nobody has time for. So instead I'm going to be touching on the pros and cons briefly on each item as I go through them, just based on my thoughts and my personal experience and usage of them. I also want to preface this by saying that I'm not sponsored by any of these brands, and this isn't meant to be like a sales pitch by any means. I'm just sharing my thoughts on these items in hopes that it will empower you to make the right purchasing decision. So if you see something cool or if you think I'm missing a trick, then let me know. But that aside, let's jump into it. So starting with my main workhorse, this is the Atlas Athlete backpack, which is a mouthful. I've been using this pack for almost 3 years now. The reason I went with this bag and not the usual suspects of camera bags is because I wanted a capable bag that is also versatile in its capacity. I wanted something that would be able to fit not only my camping gear but my camera equipment as well, and something that I can travel light with and stow in the airline overhead storages. One of the main requirements for my bag is that it needed to be discreet. Having heard horror stories of people with Peak Design bags being specifically targeted by thieves, while I'm traveling solo or hiking solo, I don't want to draw that kind of attention to myself. For me, it was safety first, and this bag ticks all of those boxes. One of the major wins for me with this bag is that it expands to infinity. You can really cinch it down to a 20-litre capacity, so it looks like a standard backpack size, or you can expand it up to 40 litres and more if you really need to pack this out for travel or for camping. Some of the other features that I really like from this bag is the origami style camera section, which means that if you need more room in the back for camera gear, you can push this little area in and create more space, and vice versa. If you need more room in the front of the bag, then you just pull this up and now you've created more room in the front of the bag. You can also unzip this little area here and access the items that you have stored in the front of the bag without having to stow away all your camera gear first. The capacity for this bag is seemingly endless. You also have this large outer pouch, which is huge. It's like a small backpack on top of your backpack. It's rugged, it cleans up well, and it served me really well for the last few years that I've been using it. A minor annoyance for this bag though is that these straps are everywhere. And at first they look kinda cool, but the novelty wears off when it's a windy day and you're hiking and you're getting slapped in the face with these things. Let me tell you, that is not a fun experience. But again, not a deal breaker, just a minor annoyance, something I can deal with by just tucking them in or wrapping them around each other. Camping items. So, this is the Nemo Dragonfly one-person bikepacking tent. I bought this with the good intention of going bikepacking a little bit more, but I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really done that. And the other reason I bought this was because of the dark colour scheme. In England, you're not really supposed to wild camp, although people do that, but we do it respectfully. So I wanted something that would be stealthy in its color schemes, but still look great, because I don't really fancy some of the colors that some other brands do. They look a bit naff, not gonna lie. And yeah, I just really like the navy, the dark blue, and the neon greens that you get throughout the tent. And this thing is super light, super compact, fits in my bag well, and doesn't draw much attention. I also really like that the inside is like mostly mesh, so the breathability in this tent is super great. Sleeping bag. So I have two sleeping bags, one that I use in the hotter months, like deep summer I'm saying, because I've used this in May, and I did get a little bit of a cold draft coming in, so that wasn't too great, but I had a decent sleeping system. This is the Age More Outdoor Adventure sleeping bag, and I got this thing for like £16 on Amazon, so just needed something lightweight, something that would be easy to carry in the summer, and this was the cheapest and lightest that I could find. Fits in the bag well, it weighs 700 grams apparently, and yeah, I take it out of the stuff sack, stuff it into my bag, and we're good to go. Not much to say about this, just a quick summer bag that you can grab. For my winter bag, I use the Hagelof's Hypna 3S, I believe. This is fantastic. I don't believe they do these anymore, or at least this version. but this thing can go down comfortably, it says, to -9 degrees, and in extreme conditions can go down to -27, which is more than I'll ever need it for. So I've used this in -2 to -3 degrees temperature, slept only in my t-shirt, and it's kept me plenty warm. This is the Sea to Summit ultralight insulated sleeping mat. I mean, it all says it in the name already. It's great, it's compact, it's insulated, it's super lightweight, and the bag turns into a pump sack, so you only need like 2-3 pumps to fill up your sleeping mat, which is great, especially if you've been hiking for a long period of time. You don't really feel like sitting there blowing up a sleeping mat. It's super useful to have. It's also designed with this like crisscrossy air pocket, and it's meant to basically shift your weight as you move on the mat to keep you comfortable and making sure you're not like cramping or touching the floor or anything like that. So super great, very reliable, love it. So moving on now to some of the smaller items that I bring along on my wild camps. This is the Fire Maple stove, and it's an ultralight portable stove. I mean, no complaints about it really. It's been great, it's got decent reviews. Build quality is really nice and sturdy. The valve control is great. You get a decent control over the flames and how much gas you let out of your stove. It's super tiny, super pocketable, and it's got these ridges to stop your pan or your pot or whatever from slipping around. For my cooking pot, I just used the Lixada titanium pot. It's 750 ml, and this fits your kind of like standard food pouches. I kind of just fold them in half and stuff them in here. And I use this to boil water, boil tea, cook stuff in. And usually I will just use this, but if I'm kind of like going for a more day hikey and I'm not looking to reuse the pot to cook multiple things, then I just take the mess tin. For my pillow, to be honest, sometimes I just use my bag as a pillow, but I do carry this Flex Tail Gear blow up pillow with me, so it's just a nice addition to have. Plus it's really compact, so why not, you know? And of course the first aid kit, you can buy a pack of these on Amazon, and you can get a fair bit of kit in here. You've got safety blankets, you've got wipes, you've got bandages, gloves, safety matches, emergency whistles, instant hot and cool packs. So these are great for just kind of just having your standard first aid kit bits in there. Now there's a weird argument between whether you should wear boots or you should wear trail running shoes. And unless you're going really ultra light and that's your goal, I just think the argument is a bit silly, to be honest. For me, it just depends on the weather. In the winter, I use this Adidas Cold Ready boots. This thing has been so great. I wasn't too sure about this at first, but I wore this on my very first big hike in Wales, which was the Brecon Beacons Horseshoe. And this has been super sturdy, kept my feet dry. I've had it in the sea, I've had it in high streams up to the ankle at least, and no water got in at all. Waterproofness has been great, it's Gore-Tex, and the grip and the stability is second to none. I love this thing so much. And even though they're a boot, they're actually surprisingly super lightweight. You can see the conditions a bit roughened up a bit, so I need to care for this thing a little bit more and probably retreat it with a DWR coating or something. But yeah, no complaints about these boots, really good quality and have lasted. It's been a couple of years now. And for the drier months and summer months, I use the Ultra Lone Peak 6. These are trail running shoes. No major complaints about these ones, although there are two cons that I don't really like about these shoes, is that they're not the grippiest shoes in the world. So even in dry conditions, when I'm going down steep sections, I can feel myself slipping, or I don't really feel as sure-footed in these shoes. The other thing that I don't like about these shoes is the laces. They look great, but the material, and I guess the way that they're woven, is very slippy. So even though I tighten these things to death, you know, they always come loose not too long after I've started walking. so having to redo them all the time is quite annoying. Other than that, they are super light. I actually thought when I got the shoes that someone had stolen them from the box, because when I picked up the box it was so light that I didn't feel the shoes in there. So really nice to have in the summer to hike in these. So we've got a few pieces here. I use these pretty much all the time on my hike, especially when it's wet or slightly cold or windy or the weather's doing something funky. So the first item that I have here is the ultralight down jacket from Uniqlo, and this will cost you around £50 if the price hasn't gone up, which I don't think it has. This thing is, I mean, it's ultralight and it's down, so it's going to keep you pretty warm while still being very, very packable. It scrunches down to a tiny ball, and you can just do that or stuff it into your bag the way that it is, so it fills in the tiny crevices. Really great, a cheap solution for if you're just starting out. You could probably get an equivalent of something similar from Decathlon as well for a similar price. So it's really just up to you. I just find that Uniqlo has more color options that you can go with. And you can use this as like an everyday jacket as well, because it's just a simple, nice down jacket. It hasn't got any logo, any crazy designs. And yeah, 5 years and it's still going strong for me. Some of the baffles of like the down isn't kind of like aligning itself properly anymore, but you know, I've tossed this thing in the bag, I've scrunched it, I've thrown it in the wash, and it's still doing great. So no complaints, no major complaints. Probably wouldn't be my choice of jacket when I'm going into like extreme winter conditions. I'd probably go something a bit more heavy duty, but it would do in a pinch for most of the UK weather. Next runner up is the Patagonia R1 Air hoodie. This is a mid-layer that I will use instead of the down jacket sometimes. Sometimes I will combine the two if it's really cold. It's a fleece hoodie and it's just a really nice warm hoodie, lightweight. This thing, I wore it in a downpour once because I misjudged the weather and I had to end up wringing out the fleece and it was just soaking wet, but it still kept me really warm. So a really nice jacket to have, a really nice hoodie to have. And then last but not least, I've got my favorite jacket of all time. This is the Arc'teryx Gamma MX hoodie. And this is a heavyweight soft shell jacket with water, wind and abrasion resistance built into the jacket. There's so many features I love about this jacket. It's just, I could say so many good things about it. I just generally don't have any complaints. There's fleece lined, so you can use this as a standalone jacket if you wanted to, if it's not particularly cold. It's kept me really warm. It's kept me protected from the wind, protected from the rain, even in heavy downpour. Now it is meant to be just a water resistant jacket, but I found that even in heavy rain for a long period of time, like maybe like 2-3 hours at push, it still kept me mostly dry. I think the only kind of like time I ever got some water seep through was when I was out in heavy downpour for a long, like pretty much all day, and the shoulders were starting to seep through a bit, but other than that, I was still pretty dry for the rest of it. And yeah, no complaints. Really love this jacket. Nice color, it's nice and sleek in design. 10 out of 10, I would say, 10 out of 10. Alright, so that's my kit list. I hope you found some useful insights, maybe to even add a new addition to your kit. I'm definitely going to be adding some new items this year because I think there's some key pieces that I think I'm missing. Things like GPS tracker for safety reasons, potentially on a longer hike, head torches, headlamps, hiking poles, things like that. So if you have any recommendations or want to drop a pearl of wisdom here and there for me, just to make sure that everybody's out there prepared for their hike, then let us know. But thanks for joining me. Until next time, stay safe.